You want to hear details, but you don't. It's just I get this image in my head of, God, what she must have been going through. And
Did you kill Christie Wilson?
No, I had nothing to do with her disappearance.
How could she simply disappear after she was with you?
I don't have answers for that.
He's a consistent narcissistic manipulator.
The family of Christie Wilson say they've been tormented by her whereabouts since she went missing some 15 years ago. Now, law enforcement officials are able to provide some closure for the family through their discovery after returning to the place at the center of this mystery all that time ago.
27-year-old Christie Wilson was the daughter of Debbie and Dennis. Debbie and Dennis had separated, and Debbie married a man called Pat. She was close to her family and loved spending time with them. Christie loved blackjack. She was what many would call an expert. And on the 5th of October 2005, she was playing blackjack as usual. She had been there for a while, and after a call with her boyfriend, she told him that she would be home soon. But she never made it home. The next day, he filed a missing persons report, and the search for Christie Wilson began. Christie was in a relationship with a man called Danny Burlando. The two met while playing blackjack in the casino. They were together for a year, but their relationship was nothing close to perfect. About a month before, the two got into a fight that even the police had to intervene. They were both arrested for domestic violence. Christie's call logs showed that Danny had called her 78 times, which did not sit right, and Pat said that something was really wrong. Her car was still in the parking lot. Everything that was important to her was still in the apartment. It was unlike her to leave and not tell anybody. Danny said that he last spoke to her on October 4th at 10:20 p.m. They spoke for 55 seconds. Footage of her taking the call was captured by the casino's CCTV. Danny told her to come home, and she was like, "Okay, I'm finishing up, I'll be home soon." When she failed to come home, he started leaving messages for her, but there was no response from her.
At quarter after 10 on Wednesday. It's now been 24 hours since I talked to you last, and I'm worried sick about you. Please call me. If you're okay, call me. If you're not okay, call me. Let me know what's going on.
The police interviewed Danny. Danny said he was having dinner with his parents, but there were a few hours that were unaccounted for, from 11:30 p.m. to the next day when he used his phone. Police went to the Thunder Valley Casino to take a look at the CCTV footage. Casinos have cameras all over, and it would give some clarity on what Christie was up to that night. Christie could be seen driving into the casino and heading inside. She sat at the blackjack table and began playing, but something odd happened. An older male sat next to her and was attempting to put his hand around her, but Christie brushed him off firmly. Her personality was quite odd that night. The staff knew her quite well, but that night they said that she was different and even asked her to leave. The man told them that he would take care of her. As soon as she was done, Christie got up and left. The older man followed her. They walked out together at 1:13 a.m. She vanished from the parking lot, as we both know that her car was still in the lot. Search and rescue teams were organized and were searching everywhere they could. Debbie was determined to find her daughter. The police tracked down the man on the footage. He had used his card at the casino slot. The card was registered to 53-year-old Mario Garcia. Mario was married and had 2 teenage sons. The family described him as a family man who cared for them. The police went to his house that sat on 5 acres of land. They had gone to conduct a search of his car and home. When they got there, the 53-year-old man had scratches on his chest and face. He said that they had come from poison oak and falling from a tree.
Looks like somebody smacked you under your eye. Well, I had a little accident with the tractor in the tree and got poison oak on my face.
But those scratches looked like somebody had been scratching their fingernails across his chest and face. He was then arrested on a weapons charge. He said he had nothing to do with what may have happened to Christie. He said they walked to his car, said goodbye, and went their separate ways. I found that to be quite odd, as it is normal for a male to walk a lady to her car and not the opposite. Also, Christie did not seem interested in him, and now she even walked him to his car? Footage shows his car leaving 4 minutes later, and there was no one else with him. He said that maybe her boyfriend had something to do with it. Danny seemed genuinely worried about her disappearance, and there was nothing linking him to it. All eyes, including you and I, are now on Garcia. Detectives looked into his history, and what they found makes everything shocking. I must warn you, the details that are about to follow may be intriguing to some audience. In 1978, when Mario was only 27 years old, he met his 26-year-old neighbor Wendy Ward, and they soon began dating. The relationship seemed okay, but Mario had a nasty temper when she tried to end their relationship. January 12, 1979, Mario grabbed Wendy and forced her into his van. After driving back to his apartment, Mario assaulted her. He held a gun to her head and pulled the trigger. He then said, "Well, it wasn't loaded this time, but know that I can come and get you anytime." He then assaulted her a second time. He then made a sandwich and drove her home. Wendy went straight to the hospital, and Mario was then arrested. He was offered a plea deal after 2 years and was given 18 months probation. Just when you think things could not get worse, they do. Detectives visited Wendy, and Wendy told them that in 1979, when their relationship ended, Mario started seeing somebody else, Lynette Smith. After a time dating, Mario was angry at Lynette for terminating a pregnancy after she had gotten pregnant with his baby. The two celebrated the holidays together with Lynette's mom. The three got into Lynette's car, but a call came in that a car had plunged into the Oakland estuary. When they got there, Lynette and her mom were deceased. Mario had survived. He said he had panicked and opened the window as the water rushed in. He said he thought everybody had gotten out. Lynette's brother was devastated and searched for Wendy after he had heard about her. That is how Wendy knows about this story. The police had to investigate his Toyota. His car had been cleaned out and the mats of his car had been removed. The officers went back to the footage of the casino. As they walked away, he attempted to put his arm around her, but she pushed it away. 3 minutes and 41 seconds later, he pulled off the lot. He told police that he had left her phone and had gone to pick it up, but none of these was backed by the CCTV, which means that that was the last place she was seen. Police believed that she was incapacitated and was in the back seats. That was why she could not be seen by the footage. He said he had made it to work for an appointment he had, but his co-workers said he was late. It was now 3 weeks since Christie was last seen in the casino. The police charged Mario with murder even without a body. In 2006, Mario's defense argued that there was no evidence to convict him of murder. But the fact was evident. He was the last one to be seen with her. He had scratches on his body. He showed up to work late, and even more disturbing, blood and hair were found in his car. Wendy arrived at the courthouse to be there with Christie's family. Mario's trial would soon come to an end, and the verdict as well. Mario Garcia was found guilty of murder, but he still maintained that he was innocent. He was sentenced to 25 years to life, but for what he did to Wendy, his sentence doubled to 59 years to life. His wife filed for a divorce. Now that Mario had been caught, one question was still unanswered. Where was Christie Wilson? Two detectives that were working the case were determined to get answers as to where Christie was. They searched everywhere. In abandoned buildings, septic tanks, but nothing. They even pumped a whole septic tank, emptied it of sewage, and dug through with their hands, but to no avail. 2017, Debbie contacted Mario in prison, and he replied through a letter. Even though he did not confess to the murder, he said he would give up information if he would be released early. But Debbie would not have it. She said he would not use her daughter's body as a bargaining chip. The detectives asked the sons if there was something odd they noticed in their father around the time of Christie's disappearance. The boys said that he was working on his tractor around the property and he had a crazed look. The detectives decided to take another look at the property to see if there was something they missed. The family had left the property in 2007. They took the boys and told them to point exactly where they had seen his dad that day. August 2020. They made 2 attempts using a ground-penetrating radar equipment to look at a 5-acre radius. They decided to have another look, and the 3rd time is truly a charm. They found something. A bone that belonged to Christie Wilson. As they removed more and more dirt, Christie's skeleton was found. Her cause of death could not be determined, but she had a broken hand and a broken nose.
Placer County, the body of Christie Wilson has been found 15 years after she was kidnapped from Thunder Valley Casino.
Yeah, deputies say this is the result of Christie's family and detectives never giving up. Now, this discovery doesn't change anything about the killer's case, but it does bring Christie's family some peace. Deputies say her killer, Mario Garcia, did not lead them to the body. They say he has never made an honest effort to cooperate on this case.
Today is an absolute joyous day. It's a day that for 14 and a half years, I and my family have traveled a journey, and to this day that we have so longed for.
Debbie Boyd, the mother of Christie Wilson, finally getting some closure.
It's a day of peace, a peace that we haven't had. And we are so happy to finally be able to close this chapter of torment.
But even after months of searching, Wilson's body was never found until last week. That's when detectives returned to Garcia's former home in Auburn. This is drone video of that 4.5-acre property. They had searched here before several times, but this time they found her, thanks to new underground technology and some new information.
Ground penetrating radar. It wasn't until we used that ground penetrating radar that we were able to get a more narrow defined area to search where we located her.
Placer County Sheriff Devin Bell says they never stopped looking for Wilson.
We've all been longing for closure, and today we can move one step closer.
The Placer County DA calls this a great day for justice.
That jury had a difficult task. They got it right. And they knew it, and we all knew it.
This is an example of the greatest level of perseverance of a police department. I mean, seriously, these men worked tirelessly on this case. They persevered.
It was a knock on Debbie's Scottsdale, Arizona home one warm August night. Placer County detectives, who worked countless hours on Christie's case, packed a bag and came here to hop on a plane. They wanted to tell Debbie in person.
I'm standing in front of my door in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was kind of just in a fog, like, what are you doing here? I went, oh my gosh, did you find her? And they shook their head yes. And with that, I think I went into shock a bit. And I kept asking them, are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? And they said, yes, we are. We're absolutely sure.
I feel we do now have a sense, although bittersweet, there is a sense of peace. We can, the torment of not knowing where she is, coming up with a million different scenarios in our own head, that is gone. I can let that go now. And we can bring her home and give her a proper and respectful burial that she so deserves.
December 24th, 2020.
New tonight, a notorious Sacramento area killer has died behind bars. Mario Garcia, convicted of killing Christie Wilson in 2005, died of pneumonia on Christmas Eve.
He died from complications of COVID-19 just 5 months after Christie's body was found. He was 68 years old. The determination of the detectives to find Christie gave peace to the family. To Nuno Tavares and Don Murchison, we salute you and commend you on a job well done.
To be a sad ending to the search for 18-year-old Hannah Graham, the University of Virginia student who disappeared 5 weeks ago. Juliana Goldman reports from Washington.
Police said a search team found human remains on Saturday while combing an abandoned property just outside of Charlottesville. Officials cautioned against jumping to conclusions, but they called the find a significant development.
We have some breaking news to report to you right now. The medical examiner's office for the state has now confirmed that the remains discovered in Albemarle County on October 18th are indeed those of 18-year-old Hannah Graham of Fairfax, Virginia.